Hello and welcome. It's 7 p.m. on a Thursday, which means this is it. And this is not a rehearsal. This is the real thing, and it's just about life. So, as we can see, Mitchell's not quite in yet. I think he's having a bit of technical problems, but that's what this is all about. How are you doing, Inessa?
I'm very good, very good. Nice. And what about you? Thank you.
Yeah. So, doing all right. I was out today on a walk. Haven't been on a walk for a few days. Absolutely freezing out there.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, I've been today by the sea in the seafort, if I
Right.
correctly pronounce. Is the
Yeah.
beautiful area, beautiful view. I had a photo shoot, but it was so freezing. I was in this very thin dress, shooting for the 2 hours, and it was absolutely freezing. Yeah, it's nice location for summer, I guess.
Would you say it was a successful day?
Um, it depends. It was success to have a new experience in the beautiful area, explore England a little bit because I never been there. I hope the photo shoot was successful because I haven't seen picture yet because the photographer will send later on. And actually, I met nice people today. So probably, yeah, was more success than no success with the weather probably, but it was successful because it wasn't raining. So it's the let's see, look at positive side.
All right. So about it. Let's talk about it. Oh, I'm getting a lot of feedback. So we're talking about success and what is it? Um, I think it's a fascinating subject, to tell you the truth, because it's a word that I think is being debated for since people were on this earth. On what is success? How do I achieve success? And is there such a thing? What do you reckon, Inessa?
Yeah, I just think that people see success like from different perspective. And but my opinion, success is when the person feel the ecological comfort, which just mean they feel comfortable at work in any different aspects without hurting or using other people. Yeah, it's just kind of like this, probably like simple, I think, but
How
it's
would
not
you
easy.
what kind of examples do you have from your own life? What would you say is one of the most successful periods or things or events in your own life?
Um, I just think maybe it was successful when a burn came to this earth. Yeah, maybe it's just too deep thinking. But about the events, I think I was very successful when I was child. Grew up in nice family, and yeah, I feel very comfortable. I feel loved, and it was kind of my small success, I guess, or lack of success. Yeah, it's just quite. What about you? How do you see success?
So yeah, it's that are you getting a feedback from me? Because I'm hearing a feedback somewhere. Not sure where it's coming from.
Uh,
Um, just put the volume down your side a little bit, maybe. The idea of success, I think, is interesting because just taking what you said, the idea of, my family life, my childhood, that kind of thing being a success is an interesting thing because you didn't really need to do anything. It was others that did it for you, right? So I think as we become adults, we begin to think, oh my goodness, how can I achieve things? I want to achieve things all the time. And I start planning in my head, how I'm going to get things or achieve things or, you know, and I think by doing that too much, we can miss a lot of the real successes in our life that we don't actually need to achieve. We can just live our life successfully, if using that word successful. So, I don't think success is something that you go after. I think success is something that you look behind you and you can say, wow, you know what? Things have gone pretty well, and I think it's something that we can have gratitude for. I think if we don't appreciate what we have right at this very moment, we will never appreciate any success, anything that we have, because we will always be wanting.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, and I think sometimes people they as you said, they just chasing after dreams and they put success is kind of like some people said is the career, some people say is the money, some people said is could be relationship or be famous, but I think it's not always that success is kind of people, as you said, they chasing goals and they forgetting about different parts. So people who build career, they forget about family. People who chasing after money, they forget about joy of the pleasure of, like, for example, go on holiday or just to do different things. Yeah, and they just sometimes when the people don't really realize what is the success for them, they just missing a lot in their life. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think we can focus on what we think might be success, but it's only that one thing. We've got a lot of aspects to our life, not just materialistic things and not just family and not just children and not just relationships and not just work and not it's a not just, it's everything. We've got a whole complex web of different things. And the idea sometimes I think of success is that when we look at others, we're always comparing ourselves to others. So we're like, oh, they're really successful, I want to be like that, or that's a sign of success, I want to have that. I sometimes wonder, and I do it to myself, what does it mean to me? Forget everybody else, forget what the world wants, forget what people expect of me, forget what, communities want, parents want, families want, relationships want. What is it of value in my life is the way, what way do I want to live my life? And I think if we don't ask ourselves these questions, we could be living a life of success for a long time and then one day wake up and think, oh my goodness, I've not actually been living my life. I've been living somebody else's life,
It's
really,
true.
what
Yeah,
somebody else wants.
it's true. Yeah, yeah. Or sometimes also people sometimes expect a lot from themselves because like to be successful is kind of never stops. It's no limit. It's not like people put like, for example, tomorrow I will achieve this one and after tomorrow it's just become more, is that become like hunger. And yeah, and they just people become like frustrating from themselves because in some point that some way they're very successful or achieve what they want to achieve, maybe it's make them happy, but in another part it's no balance and they just losing some other stuff which just make more frustration and I think more problems. And yeah, because it's no balance. And then eventually, as you said, one day they wake up and just ask themselves, do I really need this? Do I really live my life? And which is
Yeah,
sometimes is sad, which is sometimes people become like, for example, like psychologists like you just ask you what to do with the life, because it could be person very successful, for example, run the big business, but they don't know how to deal, for example, with family, or they never are relaxed. They're always
yeah,
tired, so they have to come to people, for example, like you, and ask help because they just went too far and can't stop it. So success, I think, is not always kind of positive things. Like, I mean, depends what kind of success, but I think the people put everything just on one way, it's never become as a balance, and yeah, it's just
yeah.
damage
Yeah, I
people.
agree. I think, especially in the society that we grow up in, we look, for instance, to famous people, celebrities, famous business people, rich people, wealthy people, and we classify them as successful. But if you're intimately in a room with these people and you ask them, do you think you're successful? More times than most, they will say, no, they don't feel successful, right? They're still, um, you know, being famous, being wealthy, being well known brings with it a lot of pressure, brings with it a lot of responsibility. And the very wealthy business person, let's say, very wealthy person, they have anxiety every day that they could wake up the next day and have lost it all.
Yeah,
The very famous person worries a lot about waking up the next day and nobody remembers who they are because they haven't done a movie for a year, or they haven't done, brought out a record or a single or whatever, right? Um, and even very famous people that are not in show business or in money making business, but there just might be famous professors or famous psychologists or famous anything. When you really sit down and talk to them, they also believe, and even I experience it, I'm sure you have, everybody experiences, I'm not maybe really as good as people think I am.
yeah,
And so I don't consider myself as successful as other people think I am. And therefore, that gives me a lot of stress, worry, anxiety, because maybe they're fooled. Maybe they don't really know that I am is not as good as that. Now, so therefore, I come back to the idea that success needs to be, in my opinion anyway, that what I have, what I do, what I exist, how I exist right now is a must if I'm going to measure that against anything else in the world. Because if I don't realize what I have and what I appreciate, who I am at this particular moment in my life, which is talking to you on This Is It, for instance, um, it could easily go through my head, oh, I don't know if anybody's watching. I don't know if what we're doing is any good. I don't know if people watching it afterwards will laugh at us. I don't know if we're even picking the right sub. There's a million things that can go through my head anyway that could destroy this whole program. But if
yeah,
I put that aside and I say, you know what, I'm just enjoying having a conversation with Inessa and with Mitchell when he's here. Um, I just enjoy, first of all, enjoy having that conversation. That's important to me. And I think maybe there's something in our conversation that might be interesting for somebody else. So therefore, it's worthwhile to have this no matter how many, even if it's just one person watching.
Yeah, 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 it's absolutely true. Yeah, and right. And I think the people has to a bit realize before to put the aim, like to build a huge career, or what for they do this, why they need this, or they just want to be like someone gonna like look at them like because they ego big. Like sometimes people they have like big ego and they just think like, oh, okay, I just gonna be better because it's just talking about insecurity, or some arrogant people, or sometimes even nice, like nice, decent people, but they have to think, why do you need this? Why I want to go the truth, and what price I'm gonna pay for this? Or like, or if I will be there successful, will I be there successful, and where I will end up? And yeah, it's like I think it's just lots of different factors what drive to success. Like same, like for example, some people, if they write a nice book which is educate people, so they thinking about to share the experience, and they success if there lots of people gonna get help. But some people they just want to write book because they thinking, oh, I just gonna come famous, and people just gonna say me, oh, thank you so much, they're gonna pay me money, or not even money, but they're just gonna talk about me. So they talk more about ego, but this is not really even ecological success. It's just person try to prove themselves for nothing. And yeah, and they feel uncomfortable because this person can't be successful if they not feel comfortable inside. If they go sleep in the night and they analyze all day how they feel inside, or they peaceful, or they enjoy what they're doing, and majority people they not, they worry about next day, they worry about next day, and then as you said, they're very dependent on other people opinion. And also the people has to sometimes think in their head, if they, for example, lost that road which they go into success, if something happen, will they be happy where they are, or will be they happy enough without anything? Like for example, the person want to make money, a career, and if it didn't happen, will they manage to be happy how they are? So this is, I think, about the success, about how the most important how the person feel inside, and without hurting other people around, or without looking at other people arrogantly with the big ego, and yeah, all this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Anyone watching at home or wherever, if you have any, ideas about what success is, then you're welcome to send us in, or even what is your formula for success. I know that Steve Jobs once said, um, most overnight successes, because people are wanting that overnight success, the real fast, quick. Um, he once said, most overnight successes take a long time, right? Um, and I think it takes a lot of discipline. I think it's about showing up. And I remember when I was 12, 13 years old, and I looked at my grandfather who had a printing factory. And for me, he was like the most wealthiest, successful person that I ever knew. And I asked my mother when I was about 12 or 13 that I wanted a job, and I thought, I want to work for him. I thought, goodness knows what kind of job I would get. So she arranged that I would work for my grandfather. And I arrived on the first day and I'm thinking, oh, here I'm the grandchild of the boss, I'm going to, goodness knows what I'm going to get. And after about 5 minutes, my grandfather said, okay, I've got your first job for you. Now, a printing factory is a very dirty place, and it's full of ink, and it's full of paper everywhere on the floor, and it's getting cut up, and there's all sorts of scrap paper and everything. And he gave me a big brush, and he said to me, your job is to make sure this floor is always clean. And I was very, very offended. I was very upset that I came to my grandfather's factory and I become the cleaner, right? And I had to um, sweep the floor all day. That's all I did, and it was smelly and this and bending down and picking up stuff and getting covered in all sorts of colors of ink. And he came to me and he said, you know, if you know how to, whatever job, he said, it doesn't matter what job you do. If you know how to do that job well, you'll learn to do any job well. And if you can sweep the floor and take pride in your job and what you're doing and not be egoistic in the fact that whether you're a cleaner, whether you're the managing director,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. The purpose is to do it the best way you can possibly can. And that was a big, big lesson for me because it's a lesson in showing up, right? It's a lesson in being dedicated to what you're doing,
Yeah.
even if you don't really feel good about it. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't go and tell all my friends that I got a cleaning job and I'm just picking up paper from off the floor. But I think only really later on, I didn't work there very long, to tell you the truth. But only later on did I realize how important that lesson was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. They really teach. Yeah, it's very good lessons.
Yeah, and I think no matter what we're doing, what matter what age, we have to know these little basics. Of sweep the floor. Even it comes when you saw the Karate Kid. If you ever saw that movie,
Yeah.
and he taught him the basic moves, and I know somebody who went to study karate and they just got the same move, again and again and again for like months, and if you don't know how to learn through repetition and detail and take it slowly and thoroughly, then I think that's what Steve Jobs was talking about. He was a genius. He built a company Apple, and but it wasn't just overnight. He went through a lot of heartache. He lost his company. He got it back again. Um, People don't always look at that when they think you're out there presenting and you look good and you've got all these fancy things, but nobody really looks at how you got there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's everything, as you said, is step by step. Because I do martial arts as well, and when I start to do my classes, I saw like, why like for 2 years I do the same like we in beginning class we do warm up and then we do same moves. It's like, why do all these same moves all the time? And then in the fight you just realize you do automatically like defend yourself or punch this. It's like, oh, this really works. And because your brain starts to use that moves without knowing that you're using. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's quite interesting. And I think as well people have to have strength. If the people put some goal in everything, like I heard lots of these stories, successful stories about people, which people heal even themselves, like people who was going through the difficult illnesses and they was fighting and fighting. And for some people works probably like placebo. Everyone's believing different stuff. Some people believe in placebo, some people believe power of the source. So every person believe in different things. Some people religion believe in that, but it works. Doesn't matter what tools people use, because they're fighting, they're assertive, and they just keep going. Their life is throwing back, they come back, they come back, they come back, and obviously they heal themselves. They become successful and healthy in that way. I have amazing story at my university. One professor, he has the car accident, and he used to cycle in a lot, and so he's broke the spine. So doctor said like he's probably going to be in a wheelchair all his life. But he was too much into non-traditional medicine, and also he was religion as well. He used to believe like in his way. And he said, I will show you, I will walk. And then after, I can't remember the period of the time, maybe less than a year, he walked by himself on the steps on our university, and people was like, we was crying when we saw this, because we saw he's not gonna walk. He used a lot, he used to use like non-traditional medicine, he used to do his own way praying, he used to do, try to use many and some traditional obviously, and yeah, he walked. So some people can achieve, not just in the health, in the many different way, great success, which is the nice success, ecological success, and yeah, if they will be a bit assertive.
And I'm sure if you spoke to him, he will tell you the pain that he went through on the road to that success, right? I mean, the success at the end, when you stand up and you've reached wherever it is that you want to reach, it might feel good, and usually only feels good for a short amount of time, because then you have another goal. But on the way, it doesn't always feel good. In fact, most of the time, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And when during the lockdown at the beginning, when spring, summer, I started to learn, I hadn't done it before, but I started to plant seeds and do a little bit of gardening. And the very beginning, I took plastic cups, filled them with earth, and planted a tomato seed in each one. I had like 25 of them. And I didn't know, I didn't read up on it, I didn't study it, I was just kind of going with it. I didn't want to get taught, I wanted to experiment and see how it goes. So I'm watering, I didn't know if I was putting in too much water, not too much water. And time was going on and on and on. And I thought, maybe it never worked. Maybe I just did something wrong. Maybe it didn't work. I didn't see that it was growing anything. Nothing was moving. And it was a few weeks. And then I'm looking every day. And then one of them, I started to see something, a tiny little difference. And I thought, oh my goodness, maybe there is something there. But it took months before they actually grew up into big kind of bushes, big tomato, whatever you call them, but not trees, but they're big tomato plants, And I think it's the same when we're going out to do something. We plant that idea, we plant that vision that we have. And a lot of the time at the beginning, and that beginning can take sometimes years, is that we're not quite sure if actually anything is happening at all. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, And when it starts to make a little change, just like you said, you're doing it for 2 years and you're like, what is this all about? What's happening? I don't even realize there's a change going on. But then eventually you see it begins to change into something else. And that's about perseverance. And I think, that is really important. So Inessa, what is your formula that we can leave people watching this, your formula for success?
I think first people have to decide their goal is why they need the goal, or they really need that goal, what price they will pay for this goal, if they're not going to affect other people or their own life, or they're not wasting time. If they think the goal is amazing, going to be beneficial for them, for other people, that will make them happy, so start to fight, not maybe fight, start to be more assertive, don't give up, try to find any different ecological ecological, going to the shop, steal money, and then just, I bought the house and I'm successful. Not that way. Very nice ecological way, without any hurting anyone, don't do anything bad. And just keep fighting. If life pushing you back, stand up and go. Because I believe eventually you will find that way and you will achieve that goal and you will be successful. And successful would make you happy inside, happy when you're gonna peacefully go sleep and say like, oh my God, I did it, I done it, and I am amazing. And yeah, thank you for this.
Wow.
I think.
That's
And
wonderful.
what about you? What is yours one?
I think the base, as I said, I think the base, first of all, is to um, tune in to where you are right now. Okay. So you got to know where you're going from. Okay. So that's the first thing. Know where you are now. Be appreciative of who you are now, and have that sense of satisfaction at the moment. And then start to visualize, where is it you want to go? Where is it you want to go in your life? What's the meaning and purpose behind it? Not necessarily just the achievement side, but the meaning and purpose. Why are you going to set out on this could be very painful journey? Could be a painful journey to get to that other side of the mountain, or climb Everest, or your friend from university who walked again. It could be a very painful journey. And if you're not attached to the meaning and purpose of just doing the journey, then you're going to have a really hard time, and you might not necessarily finish that journey. That's the second thing. So have the vision attached to a meaning and purpose. And then once you start the journey, know that you might not know um, that you are actually achieving it at the beginning. You might not realize it. It might be not visible to you immediately. I always use the metaphor of, you don't feel your own hair growing. It's just only after maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks, your hair is longer than it was 2 months ago, but you don't actually feel it every day growing. The same as I didn't see my plants growing. They just kind of happened after a while. Um, and so just showing up, to keep showing up, to keep in the game. And enjoy, if you like, the journey more than the actual achievement, because
Yeah.
I guarantee you, the day that you arrive, the day you get to the top of Mount Everest, it might be the most wonderful day, but the next day you've done it. So it kind of loses a lot of value. So enjoy the journey, because it might even be more important. Even if you don't actually achieve it at the end of the day, the journey will change you, and if you've got a meaning and purpose behind it, it will change you for the better. That's my take on what success is all about.
I just gonna say quick, just came to my head, very quick. I just want to say that also don't compare yourself for other people, because sometimes some people have lots of insecurity about themselves, and they, for example, they watching. Let's say I will mention Tony Robinson, and they think like, "Wow, he's amazing," and I'm not like this. Just never think you're not like this, because every person individual, that every person is already inside. They have their own power. So find your power, discover your power, and just think you have power to do stuff as well. Maybe you have different potential to do something different, but you have, you amazing, and you can do it. You don't compare yourself, then you less than other person, because you are strong the same. So yeah, just discover your power and just drive with this power.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to end with that idea of don't compare. We've all got something original, and I loved tonight's show with you, Inessa. And Mitchell has written in. It was a little bit of a technical problem, but he said, "Lovely show tonight, guys. Let the journey continue." And that'll be this. Oh, wait a minute, he's just saying something else. Success is defined by the individual. Absolutely. Thank you, Inessa. Thank you, Mitchell. And this is it. See you
Thank you.
next week.
See
Take
you.
care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
now.